losing the game. Time is running out. John Elway is running onto the field. He is the master of the last-minute comeback victory. The drive, 98 yards in Cleveland for the tying touchdown en route to Super Bowl 21. It was the beginning of the legend of come-from-behind victories engineered by quarterback John Elway.
I think it's probably the thing that I'm most proud of. I'd like to be able to say I've won a Super Bowl, and that would definitely be the highlight. But I think that because we haven't won a Super Bowl, that people talk about the comebacks.
It can be great theater, the last-minute heroics, the improbable victory. When John Elway is the Broncos quarterback, make sure you watch all 60 minutes.
When you go out there, you always get a chance to be a hero. And it's whether you played well the whole game or you played poorly the whole game, you still got this last chance to make up for whatever you've done and win the football game, which is the bottom line.
The Los Angeles Raiders face the Denver Broncos on ABC's Monday Night Football. Hello again, everyone. Frank Gifford with Al Michaels and Dan Dierdorff. Two bitter rivals in the AFC West get it on again tonight, and as you can tell, the fans love to fuel the flame here as these two rivals meet once again. Both come into tonight 3-2, and while this is early in the season, there is a bit of urgency to tonight's game because whoever loses tonight's game will fall 2 games behind the Kansas City Chiefs at 5-1, and both of these teams have already lost to Kansas City. The Broncos and new head coach Wade Phillips have a explosive offense. John Elway off to a great start. They'll need that because the Raiders typically come in with a superb defense. And Al, they had the speed on the outside, and they come in tingling with excitement over a great comeback win last week against the Jets.
Well, Art Shell, who has seen a few Raider games in his time as a great left tackle, and as the head coach called it, one of the greatest wins in the history of the franchise. And you'll be taking a look at some new people tonight. They have a Jet and a Rocket, namely James Jett, rookie wide receiver from West Virginia, and Rocket Ismail, who comes down from Canada after a great career at Notre Dame, providing a lot of speed, and they were very important factors last week. Vince Evans led them to the win at the age of 38 at quarterback, but back they go tonight to Jeff Hostetler, who was acquired as an unrestricted free agent during the offseason. Defensively, they'll have to do the same thing any team has to do against Denver, somehow contain John Elway. But the Raiders know how to do it. In Elway's 17 starts against the Raiders, he is 6-11. But Dan, the toughest task facing the Raiders tonight is the same task facing any team that plays in Denver, Colorado, winning at Mile High Stadium.
And somehow, Al, they don't even seem to struggle with that all that much. It's really surprising. And you're right. For more than a decade, this is the toughest win in the National Football League, is this travel to altitude here in Denver, Colorado. And yet, when you take a look at what the Raiders have done, you really have to be amazed. The Broncos in their last 22 games here at Mile High have only lost 3 of those 22 games. Surprise, 2 of them were to the Los Angeles Raiders. As a matter of fact, the Raiders are 5-5 in their last 10 trips here to the mountains. Now, the key tonight for the Denver Broncos, John Elway has to play well if they are to win. If he's to play well, his offensive line has to play well, and to do so, they're going to have to overcome the loss of their center, Keith Karts. They lost him last week, and they will have to somehow keep this formidable Raider pass rush away from Elway.
The typical sellout crowd. Nice night, temperature mid-40s. Jeff Jager to kick off, the Denver Broncos to receive. Robert Delpino and Derek Russell back deep, and he booms it out of the back of the end zone. A pretty typical Mile High Stadium kickoff. At 5,280 feet, a lot of touchbacks and a lot of long field goals. And as we indicated at the very top of the show, a lot of great comebacks engineered by John Elway. Out of Stanford, has guided the Broncos since 1983, and he'll take over at the 20-yard line, and they'll begin without a huddle in what might be a hurry-up offense right from the outset tonight as they start from the shotgun at the 20-yard line, and Elway guns his first pass complete to Shannon Sharp. That's a gain of 9, and Wade Phillips indicated last night they might begin with a hurry-up tonight, and the only way they will not hurry it up is when a flag is thrown, as was the case on the last play. Jerry Austin is the referee tonight.
Offensive pass interference, number 86, 10 yards, repeat first down.
And that slows down the hurry up. Arthur Marshall. turning a 9-yard gain into a 10-yard penalty.
Now, one reason the Broncos would like to go with that hurry-up offense, the 2-minute offense, if you will, that is, Raiders like to change a lot on defense. They like to bring in the different sets of defensive linemen and linebackers, and this will help prevent them doing that.
1st and 20, and contact up front as Elway was ready to accept the snap in the shotgun.
Ball start number 75. 5 yards. That's still first down.
It's amazing. The last time we saw the Broncos was in Kansas City, and they set the record for most false starts in a game in my recent memory, and it's unbelievable. They start off at home where crowd noise isn't a factor.
Something about the night air. 1st and 25 from the 5. And this is Glenn Milburn, the rookie from Stanford. Good return man, good receiver, good third down back, stopped by Anderson and Dorn. And without a huddle, despite the 2 penalties and 2nd and 22, the Broncos in the hurry-up with Elway out of the gun. 4-man rush. Elway swings it to the outside. Shannon Sharp gets dragged down up at the 24-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 6. Torin Dorn with the tackle.
Sharp, the leading receiver for the Broncos, but again, they go with this 2-minute drill type offense to keep the Raiders defensive personnel the same on the field.
3rd and 6, and the Raiders really strung out along the line. And Aaron Wallace came across the line, and the pass is intercepted by Terry McDaniel. McDaniel is inside the 37-yard line and tackled at the 35, but a marker was down. Aaron Wallace, unless he was induced, will give the ball right back to the Denver Broncos here.
I think Elway tried to squeeze that in there, figuring he had a free shot at it. He was going to get an offside call, and he was just going to try and squeeze that pass in.
Offside on the defense. 5 yards. It's still 3rd down.
I think your assessment, Frank, is right on. That's a pass that John Elway would not have made, not knowing, having seen this. Aaron Wallace well across the line of scrimmage. He reacts to one of the great barkers in the National Football League, and John Elway, one of the better hard counts around. And the Broncos are on the verge of digging themselves out of a pretty good-sized hole.
3rd and 1 after it was 1st and 25. Rod Bernstein takes the ball, and Bernstein does get across the 30. He is hit very hard by Joe Kelly, the middle linebacker, but not until he had broken the plane of the 30, which is all he needed to do to get the first down.
Now, when that play ended, Bernstein was not going the same direction that he started. That was one heck of a hit. Bernstein, a big back at almost 240 pounds, and it's not often you'll see a guy head backwards like that. That is a big-time play by Joe Kelly.
Kelly moved back into middle linebacker.
Oh.
The Jets tried him on the outside last year, but he's back where he likes to play in the middle.
Now Glenn Milburn picks up 4 to the 34. Let's take a look at the Raider defense. And up front in a base 4-3, Long, McLaughlin, Harrison, and Townsend, though we'll see a lot of Anthony Smith in place of Townsend at right end. Wallace, Kelly, and Moss are the linebackers. And in the secondary, McDaniel went to the Pro Bowl. Washington, the 11-year veteran. Hoskins, good-looking, strong safety. And Eddie Anderson. 2nd and 6. Milburn with a first down. Out past the 40. And with his great speed, takes it to the 50-yard line where he's tackled by James Trapp. 16-yard gain for the rookie.
And Milburn, the rookie from Stanford, had an explosive first game against the Jets. As a rookie, has been slowed somewhat after that, but he can break a game for you. All-purpose yardage leader from Stanford, good return man, good receiver out of the backfield, and you can see there, good running from scrimmage.
Elway on first down throws it into the hands of Sharp, who drops it and contends he was interfered with by Torin Dorn, and the official says no, sir. 2nd and 10.
I'm not so sure he wasn't telling the official that Elway threw that ball so hard it hurt my hands. You could hear that bounce off of Shannon Sharp's hands all the way up here in the press box. Could you not? What a slap.
Inside handoff out of the gun, and this is Milburn to the Los Angeles 46. With 12 minutes to go in the first quarter and no score, McLaughlin makes the tackle, and there's a look at Anthony Smith, 13 sacks last year and 8 already in 5 games this season.
He's only played 36 games for the Raiders, 31.5 sacks. He doesn't play all the time, as Al pointed out, and he's also their leading tackler.
He's playing more and more, and you've got action on both sides of the line. Flags are down. Elway goes deep and too deep, intended for Vance Johnson. He was covered by Washington. Wallace was one man who came across, and Freeman started across for Denver.
Before the play, number 84, simulating a false start. Simulating a snap, false start, 5 yards. Still third down.
Well, Shannon Sharp was in the slot to the near side, and he kind of hopped a little bit. He really didn't break into a run. It was more of a hop and a skip. And he tries to bounce and stop, and by that time, he had drawn the Raiders across the line. That's a drop and then a false start for Shannon Sharp.
3rd and 11. We normally see Glenn Milburn here, but he's on the bench, and they're looking at his hand. And so Rod Bernstein is in the game out of the shotgun on 3rd down and 11 from the 49-yard line. Elway looking for Sharp, and he was covered by Torrin Dorn, and a flag goes down because Dorn had his back to the play, and they may be calling a form of face guarding.
Well, Sharp tried to fight through Dorn to get to the football. The flag came in late.
Defensive pass interference,
Yes.
number 46, first down.
Sharp trying to make a move back to the football. Dorn had inside position on him. Had he been playing the ball at all, they wouldn't have called this at all. Dorn with good position. Now watch this. Raiders play man for man. They play it well. He's looking only at Sharp. Sharp trying to fight back for the ball. Dorn draws the flag. What you have to do when you're in that situation, you almost have to read the receiver's eyes. When he starts to look back for that ball, you look back too. Otherwise, you're going to get a penalty like that.
At the 27-yard line, first down and a timeout, Denver. So the Broncos, with 11:11 to go in the quarter, have moved from their 5 to the Raider 27. Timeout. Here's Glenn Milburn. We mentioned they were taking a look at his hand, the little finger of his left hand. He is not in at the moment, but he is not normally in anyway on 1st and 10. They use him in 3rd down and long yardage situations. The Raiders, more penalty yardage than their opponent in each of their last 12 games going back to last season. But tonight, they've been out-penaltied by the Broncos to this point, 3-2.
Yeah, but the Raiders have been helping the Broncos keep this drive alive.
And they're runaway league leaders thus far this year in penalties.
1st and 10 from the 27.
Another flag.
Another flag. That's the 6th penalty on the drive. Rod Bernstein, who played with the San Diego Chargers, began his career as a tight end, and then was picked up as an unrestricted free agent, made the last reception.
And everybody in orange shirt think this is against the Raiders.
Holding, number 36 of the defense, 5 yards, automatic first down.
Barchell reacting to the call. 3rd penalty against the Raiders on this drive.
Terry McDaniel working against Derek Russell. Held him off the line of scrimmage.
We've touched on the fact the Raiders love to play man-to-man. They put a lot of pressure on their corners.
First down from the 22-yard line. Elway, open man over the middle, and making the catch is Derek Russell. His mouthpiece came out, but he holds on to it. Derek Hoskins filling the role that Ronnie Lott played for 2 years. Looked a lot like Lott on that play.
Okay, that was a fine catch by Russell. He knew he was going to get pounded. Watch him tuck this football away. As soon as he catches it, hugs it to his chest, he knows he's going to get the pop, and Hoskins doesn't disappoint him.
From the 11, it's 1st and 10. Pump fake by Elway, then going too deep and out of the end zone because the intended receiver, Russell, was covered by Washington. 2nd and 10.
Going back a play, that hit by Hoskins, that's what the National Football League is looking for these days. You notice he hit him with the shoulder instead of the crown of his helmet. That was a well-executed play by everybody involved.
See what you hit.
Yep. See what you hit. That's the new catchphrase among the officials and the hierarchy of the National Football League. And Derek Hoskins saw his intended victim that time. It hit him hard.
And they should teach it at every level of this game.
It is 2nd down and 10 from the 11-yard line. The fake to Del Pino. And Elway has it picked off in the end zone by Derek Hoskins. And he runs it back to the 10-yard line.
He should have stayed there, but it was a fine play by Hoskins.
Dan is pointing out that it would have been a touchback. It would have been out to the 20, and you're right. He should have stayed there, but a good effort. Elway tried to squeeze one in. He's so confident, but Hoskins picks it off.
10-12 left first quarter. No score in Denver. The Raiders have the ball for the first time in the game. Jeff Hostetler takes over. First down at the 11-yard line, and we had 6 penalties in the first 4 minutes and 48 seconds, and here comes number 7. Bruce Wilkerson was engaged with a Bronco defensive
For the
lineman.
snap, false start, number 68, 5 yards, it's still first down.
Well, I'm not so sure Wilkerson didn't react to Shane Dronette, who moved first, which is he's entitled to do. That's a smart play on his part. But wow, I thought that we had seen all the penalties we could see when we were in Kansas City. This is not a good start by either club.
4:48 into the game. It's first and 15 at the 6-yard line. And they give it to Steve Smith, who's the blocking back and a pretty good receiver and carries the ball 2 or 3 times a game. Now, with Hostetler, Greg Robinson, a rookie, an 8th-round pick from Northeast Louisiana. Smith, who carried the ball. Wright and Brown can fly, and of course we'll see Jed and Ismail a lot. Horton is the tight end. Gerald Perry spent the first 3 years of his career here. Wisniewski, a Pro Bowler. Mosbar, Montoya playing in his 200th NFL game tonight. And Wilkerson up front for the Raiders. Second and 13 at the 8-yard line. As Hostetler throws, Brown makes a great catch. There was another receiver, Horton, in the area, and gets the first down. 2 white shirts right there. And Tim Brown, who played a key role on the game-winning drive last week against the Jets, makes the catch. First and 10 at the 23. A little toss back to Robinson. And the rookie gets whacked down after a gain of 1 by Willie Oshiden.
I'll tell you, even when they missed, Steve Atwater and Dennis Smith, they put a thrill in this game. That body you saw hurtling by was number 27, Steve Atwater. They come up from safety like linebackers.
You and I looked at each other, Frank, and both burst out laughing.
3-4 defense, Dronette, Cragen, and Oshiden up front. Kroll, big interception return for a touchdown last week. Mecklenburg, the veteran, with Wyman. Simon Fletcher on the outside. Braxton and Dimry will have their hands full tonight with the Fleet receivers and Smith and Atwater, and here we go again. Shane Dronette came across the line, number 99.
I think you got a flinch on the left side of the Raider line. Looked like Wisniewski and Gerald Perry both might have moved. The Broncos moved too, but again, once you're down and locked as an offensive lineman.
Encroachment on the defense, number 71, 5 yards, repeat second.
Ooh, that's a good break, because take a look at these 2 guys right here. They're not allowed to move. The defense can move. You see those guys rock right there? The Raiders got away with one right there. You see Willie Oshiden pointing it out. That's really a penalty against the Raiders, but the Broncos were assessed.
And they called it on Craig, and it was really on Dronette. Second and 4 at the 29-yard line. Here's Robinson, and he gets a hard-earned 2 to the 31. He's tackled by Dave Wyman. It will be 3rd and 2 with 8:05 to go. Opening quarter, no score.
Jeff Hostetler injured his ankle 3 weeks ago against the Cleveland Browns. Maybe came back a little early last Sunday against the Jets. Struggled and was taken out of the game. And, of course, there was a remarkable comeback win by the Raiders under Vince Evans, but he still has a very sore ankle.
It's 3rd and 2. A short 2 at the 31-yard line. Nick Bell is in the game, and so is Tyrone Montgomery. They send Montgomery in motion, and they fake it to Bell, and Hostetler going for it on 3rd and short. And going deep and too far for Montgomery, who was extended at the Denver 40 as he'd gotten by Darrell Hall, and the Raiders are forced to kick.
Hostetler had a chance to get it in there. It would have had to been a perfect throw because Hall had pretty good position. Right off the fingertips. And the punting unit will come out.
Jeff Gossett will do the kicking. He is the oldest punter in the league at age 36, but his average is great, 45.7 this season. Glenn Milburn, who had his finger checked before on the bench, ready to accept the kick. Flag is down. Milburn at the 25-yard line, and a great tackle is made by Dan Lamb. And let's see if it's for naught or not. A flag down at the line of scrimmage.
Defense, offsides, 5 yards, first down.
First down, Raiders.
Oh, that hurts.
Let's see who moves across the ball. There it is, right on the inside. Boy, that's just almost remarkable. Number 34, Tyrone Braxton, looked to be the first of the Broncos to cross the line of scrimmage. I'm not, I don't know what you say to describe the start of this ball game, to put it in any sort of an accurate term, other than relatively sloppy on both sides.
The Raiders came in with 51 penalties into tonight, Dan, and they've added on to that, but the Broncos have stayed right even with them.
We've played just a little over half a quarter.
Does this jointed fit? Choppy?
Yeah.
First and 10, 36-yard line, still no score. Hostetler protected extremely well, hits Tim Brown. He's inside the 30, a fabulous move, and is tackled at the 20-yard line by Tyrone Braxton. Tim Brown, Heisman Trophy winner at Notre Dame, and subject of about every trade rumor in the league as we approach tomorrow's trading deadline.
Well, he made a great effort, but there's absolutely no pressure once again on Hostetler. He just had all the time in the world to look over that Broncos' own defense, and Brown reads it with him. Plenty of time. Got in between two defenders in the zone, and a tremendous move there for extra yardage.
At the 19, first and 10, that's Brown in motion. Fumble by Robinson, but he picks it back up, and then he slips at the 22, and Braxton will get credit for the tackle. Well, he is a very unlikely #1 running back at this point. He got a good bounce to get it back. 8th round pick. Remember, they had Dickerson. He was gone. Marcus Allen gone. And the 8th rounder out of Northeast Louisiana is their starting tailback.
He got hurt before the combine, and that's why a lot of the scouts didn't have him rated very high. And that was a very fortunate bounce to come right back at him, but pretty good talent to have lasted until the 8th round.
2nd and 12 at the 22. Great protection again, and when you give him that much time, somebody's going to come open, and in this case, it's Ethan Horton. He's short of the first down. He's tackled by Dennis Smith. It's going to set up a 3rd and about 3 at the 12.
Raiders exploiting a glaring weakness of the Denver Broncos early in the season. They come in tonight only with 11 sacks, the Broncos, and this Raiders offensive line is a huge offensive line. They average 294 pounds, and so far Hostetler, every time he's dropped, Dan, he's had all the time he wanted to look it over.
You are right about that.
3rd and 3. Hostetler throwing into the end zone, and do you think Alexander Wright got open? Touchdown, Los Angeles. An 11-yard Hostetler to Alexander Wright touchdown. Last week, the Broncos, with busted coverage on a Jackie Harris touchdown, he was wide open for Green Bay, and again, this has to be busted coverage when somebody's that open.
Well, one of the Broncos, I think Steve Atwater,
what was he doing out there, though, Dan?
It had to be some type of a blown
in the field.
Some type of a blown coverage. He tries to grab Wright. He tried to tackle him and missed him. I think Atwater was willing to take the penalty. Yeah, look at that. But you're right. I could only assume that at the last minute, Steve Atwater is over there trying to compensate for someone who wasn't there, because that's not his normal position.
Here's Jaeger for the point after. So the teams have literally moved up and down the field. A long Denver drive ends in an interception. Raiders cash in on a penalty on 4th down. Touchdown Wright.
And Brown are split to the right. Here's Wright, and look at the Broncos. Nobody's out here to cover him, and watch the confusion as they try to figure out who's going to take Wright. Finally, Atwater comes over, acting the whole time like that's really not his guy.
He sort of volunteered.
Yeah, reluctantly, I think.
Jeff Jaeger sends his 2nd touchback of the night into the end zone, into the arms of Derek Russell. And the Broncos will take over at the 20. First down, Denver at the 20-yard line. Their second possession. Elway throws, and Bernstein can't hold it in. Attempted to make a one-handed catch. Aaron Wallace providing the coverage. It'll be second down and 10. John Elway, first 5 games last year, and he was a disgruntled performer. 4 TDs, 4 picks, and this year 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. New head coach, new offensive coordinator.
And notice they're back into the huddle. Wade Phillips said, we'll see what kind of production we get out of this no huddle. They got a herky-jerky drive and an interception out of it, so they're back to the huddle.
On second and 10, it's Rod Bernstein again. And Winston Moss makes the hit after a gain of 3. It'll be third down and 7.
One of the key numbers on the stats we showed you for John Elway is the 63% of completions. The Broncos, with their new highly acclaimed West Coast offense, they, along with several other teams, a lot of other teams in the National Football League, taken from Bill Walsh and the 49ers, high percentage stuff, and it certainly is paying off for Elway.
We're looking at the Raider defensive line and the venerable Howie Long with the 75. Third and 7 out of the shotgun. Elway.
There we go.
Can't get away from Anthony Smith, his 9th sack of the season.
The Broncos knew it was a chief concern coming into tonight's game. Wydell slides over to center to replace Karts. Melander starts at left guard. And this is just a plain old power bull rush by Anthony Smith against their best player, Gary Zimmerman. Look at that. Now, he did get his hand up at Zimmerman's face, but that is raw, brute force. That was a big-time pass rush by Smith.
Tom Ruin with a big-time punt to the 39-yard line of the Raiders. Tim Brown.
Hello.
Tim Brown into Denver territory, and Ruin got a hand on him to send it out of bounds at about the 30-yard line. And the crowd is not chanting Ruin.
No, they are not. They are not saying he ruined that return. They are booing rather poor coverage and tackling by the Broncos.
In good position on this punt coverage, but watch Tim Brown. Reggie Rivers with a miss, Rondell Jones with a miss there, and then Brown with open field, and only Ruin was able to save it. And Brown would have taken it all the way, but he sets up a good field position for the Raiders at the 30-yard line.
First and 10 for the Raiders. Here's Robinson. And the rookie picks up close to 10. He's tackled by Dennis Smith.
Boy, what a nice block out front by Steve Smith, who tied up Mike Kroll. Kroll, the outside linebacker to that side. And Steve Smith, year in and year out. Here you got this 7-year player from Penn State. Just continues to amaze with his ability to lead block.
Pretty good athlete, too. He works well as a pass receiver, but you're right, Dan. He is a force blocking.
Pretty good block downfield there by Alexander Wright.
Tim Brown's run back, setting them up in great position. Another first down from the 20-yard line. Hostetler lost one, incomplete, intended for Wright. Braxton with the coverage. Second down and 10.
Frank, you have touched on it once or twice so far in this game. It's still got 2 minutes and 56 seconds left to go in the first quarter, but if the Broncos are not able to pressure Jeff Hostetler any better than that, they are not going to win this ball game. He had a good 6 seconds.
They did. They sit back in that zone, and you'll pick it apart if you have the time to throw the ball.
May not have completed that one, but that type of time, a quarterback with his abilities, he will beat you every time.
Last week he was 4 for 12 and he was yanked with 2 interceptions and a fumble. Robinson picks up 6, and Steve Smith again led with a good block. It'll be third down and 4. Last week Hostetler in part pulled because of the ankle problem, but Art Shell did tell us last night, as you look at the numbers, he said even without the ankle injury, I would have made the change. We needed a spark. We needed something different to happen. But I told Jeff right after the game, you're my starter next week.
4 out of 12 with 2 interceptions. I would term that ineffective.
And a fumble.
3rd down and 5. And this is Montgomery, their 3rd down specialist, who picks up only 1. Lilo Lang makes the tackle at the 14-yard line, and that will set up about a 32-yard field goal attempt by Jaeger as you look at 38-year-old Vince Evans, who spent 1 season in the United States Football League with the Denver Gold, running the run and shoot for Mouse Davis right here.
I mean, bro, they made him, what, 14 of 22, 250 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and more than that, he might have turned the Raiders football season around. Something like that can make a big difference.
Jeff Gossett holds. Jeff Jaeger, who kicked more field goals than any college player in history, 80 at Washington from 32 yards away. Right down Broadway.
Boy, and the Broncos fell behind the Packers last week 17-0 after running only 3 offensive plays. Must think they're looking at a little deja vu. 6-1 versus the Broncos. The big man, the Hall of Famer, one of the great offensive tackles ever to strap on a helmet, Art Shell.
Jaeger looking for his 3rd touchback of the night.
I think he's got that one.
That's the hat trick.
When did you first know that one wasn't going to come down anywhere in the field of play?
The minute I took a look at the elevation in Denver. 5,280 feet. Long field goals, long punts, long kickoffs.
I think a lot of the players, when the schedule first comes out, they look for Monday night games. I think a lot of the kickers look for the Denver games. When am I at Mile High?
Yep.
If I can get there in September and October before things get kind of nasty around here, that's not a bad time to be here.
Well, it's a little tough when you fly in here like 24 hours or less than 24 hours before and have to breathe this air too.
Well,
it's a little thin.
Not like the kickers got to worry about getting winded.
From the shotgun.
Look out.
Elway under pressure again, and Elway goes down behind the line of scrimmage. That means Nolan Harris, then the first guy to hit him, will either get a full sack or a half sack there. Greg Townsend also involved in the play.
More just power rushing play by the Raider defensive line. And for a change of pace here on their 3rd possession, the Broncos are going to go without the huddle again. Trying to shake it up, see what works.
2nd and 10 from the 20-yard line. And there is another sack. This time it is Anthony Smith and Nolan Harrison, and that's 3 sacks already for the Raiders tonight.
Yeah, but a couple of, this one has got to be a coverage sack as much as anything. Elway had plenty of time. With this new offense, it's really a 1-2-3 set throw. He goes 1-2-3 set, and there's no one to throw the ball to.
But look at these guys.
Plenty of time.
These guys up front for Denver are on skates right now.
3rd and 53. Elway avoids the safety, dumps it to Milburn, and Milburn taken down nicely at the 9-yard line by Mike Jones.
That might have been a sack on a mere mortal.
I was going to say, not many people were going to get out of that traffic.
No, Howie Long thought he had him, maybe not for the safety, but back at the 1 or 2 yard line. This guy just keeps getting better and better, and the Denver offensive line right now is in serious need of a little regrouping on the bench.
So the Broncos set up to kick. They're going to let the clock run down, and this will be the end of the quarter. So they'll begin the 2nd quarter with a punt. End of 1. Raiders 10, Broncos nothing. Back we come to the 2nd quarter of Monday Night Football.
Either going to have to get a turnover from the Raiders, you're going to have to make them go 3 and out.
Tom Ruin's kick.
Well, that's a
50-yard kick. Tim Brown takes it in his own 40. And he was almost off to the races again. This time only a 6-yard run back. He's tackled by Reggie Rivers at the 46-yard line.
Good field position for the Raiders. Already down 10-0. These guys have got to buckle it up right here.
From the 47-yard line, Hostetler guns one to the open man. That's the Rocket, Ismail. And he is tackled at the 40-yard line of Denver. First down, Raghib Rocket Ismail. His first catch of the night. We'll take a look at the numbers through the first quarter of play.
They are dominating on the scoreboard. They are dominating on the line of scrimmage, and they are dominating in the first quarter statistics. The Raiders.
Ethan Horton sets up on the right side. This is Nick Bell. Next to nowhere, minimal gain. Steve Atwater comes up to hit him. They're trying to keep the Raiders are Nick Bell healthy if they can. He's in his 3rd year. He's out of Iowa. He's big and he's fast, but always seems to be hurt. Dinged here, dinged there. And they're using him in a situation where he comes in relief.
Got an ankle and now fighting off a hamstring, and played for the first time this last week. Scored the winning touchdown.
2nd and 9. You got Smith and Montgomery confused, and Hostetler, sensing that, calls a timeout. Timeout Raiders, 13:31 remaining first half. 10-0 Los Angeles. How tough they are at home, and you can see right there the tremendous home mark since 1980. 15 games under 500 on the road, the largest differential in the NFL, and it must be the air or the water, because right next door is McNichols Arena where the Nuggets play of the NBA, and you can see Denver wins almost 7 of 10 at home, 3 of 10 on the road, and that's the largest difference in the NBA. 5,280 feet. 2nd down and 9. Hostetler throws. Ismail, spin move, doesn't hit him anymore, and he tackled at the 30-yard line. He's a yard shy of the first.
Once again, a lot of time for Hostetler, and the thing they like about the Rocket, who's of course played the last 2 years up in Canada, is the fact that he came in and learned this offense so quickly. He's very confident. He fits in just like he's been here for the last 2 years. Good move to the outside, but the key to this, once again, the offensive line protecting Hostetler. That ball thrown clear across the field. Hostetler just sitting back there picking out the receiver.
3rd down and 1. Tight formation, 2 tight ends, and they give it to Robinson. He runs to the strength of the formation, but the Broncos are there to break it up. Dave Wyman and Carl Mecklenburg.
Big time play there defensively for a defense that has not been making the plays and forcing the Raiders to settle for an attempt at 3.
I think the Snow Goose was the guy who was down low and got the legs. A man who excels at really every aspect of playing inside linebacker. When he was a little younger, used to spend some time back in the passing lanes, but it's attacking the ball carrier and the quarterback. And even on this, you see him down, coming right up the middle on the field goal rush.
49 yards for Jeff Jager, who made one from 32 and has 3 touchbacks tonight. And he makes it look easy. Boy, does he love Mile High. And so do the Raiders to this point, 13-0. Broncos to receive the kick. Derek Russell is back there. He'll be joined by Robert Del Pino. John Elway will take over with his team already trailing by 13 with 11:57 remaining in the first half. And Jeff Jager, who has 2 field goals and 3 touchbacks tonight, ready to kick off. Well, what do you know? We got a returnable kick here at the 9-yard line. Derek Russell. Russell goes out of bounds at the 26. We talked about, the altitude and the kicks here. Well, since 1969 in the National Football League, on average, 155-yard field goal is made every 185 NFL games, 55 or more. But here,
oh, nice sound effect. A little at no expense.
There's 155 plus made every 23 games.
Oh boy.
Is this Monday Night Football or Saturday morning football? I'm trying to figure this out. Here's Rod Bernstein to the 36-yard line.
Quite a disparity, but it was almost lost in the animation. That's where the messenger overpowered the message.
And the truth, and we didn't even talk about the fact this is a natural surface, and there are many more field goals made off the artificial surface than there is a natural surface. So that even
looks like
more impressive.
Derek Hoskins is being assisted off. Now, if you've ever come to the mountains or Lake Tahoe or any place like that and hit a golf ball, you realize that anything that is struck cleanly up here goes a lot farther than it does down closer to sea level.
And talk about being struck cleanly. There's a guy who can strike you cleanly. Patrick Bates, their #1 draft choice, replacing the shaken-up Hoskins, the rookie from Texas A&M. Second and 1.
Are you insinuating his first name should be Norman?
It might be. Rod Bernstein picks up a first down to the 45, upended by Terry McDaniel.
A couple of impressive running plays now for the Denver Broncos.
Hoskins is back in, and I guess they sent Bates back to the motel. First and 10 at the 45-yard line. Raiders with Hostetler at the helm, dominating, in particular up top. Bernstein again. And Rod Bernstein, who frankly has not lived up to expectations to this point this season, behind a Shannon Sharp block, able to pick up close to 9. He is now their featured back, but he came into the game averaging just 3 yards per carry. Tonight, 5 carries for 32 yards, so that's a 6.4 average.
There's a couple of big years as a running back for San Diego, attending up as a high draft pick as a tight end out of Texas A&M, converted in 1989 to a running back. And you're right, he struggled here in the early going.
Second and 1 at the 46, and Elway figuring it's a free play, looking for something downfield, doesn't find it. Instead, hits Reggie Johnson, and Johnson would have been better advised to drop the ball. Instead, he makes the catch, and it turns out to be an 8-yard loss.
And who's he tackled by? Howie Long. There's a little bit of everything. Rushing the quarterback. He's going to get double teamed by Johnson there. It overcomes Freeman to back him up. He throws Johnson out of the way and then hustles back to the outside. Now that, folks, is why he's a perennial Pro Bowl player.
He's 33 years old and 7th Pro Bowl last year.
Yeah. That's why, just for plays like that.
Third and 9 at the 46, 9:15 left in the half, 10-0 Raiders. Pressure on Elway, and he is sacked for the 4th time tonight. Greg Townsend and Nolan Harrison, 4 sacks in the first 20 minutes of the game. And Smith is shaken up. Mildly.
Not nearly as shaken as John Elway, who now is starting to look like a quarterback ought to look when his pocket is disintegrated on a repeated basis. Trying to find something downfield. Townsend's there first. Harrison really just comes in for a little cleanup action. That's Greg Townsend's sack.
Tom Ruin's kick. 47-yard kick. And Tim Brown with an 8-yard run back. Up to the 24. Raiders get it there. 8:53 left in the half. 13-0 Raiders. We're thinking about you, Billy.
Yep.
And now it's time for you to go to sleep. We want you to go to bed right now.
He stayed up this long.
Yep. From the 24-yard line, this is Bell taking it up to the 30 for a gain of 6 with 8:40 to go in the half, and the Raiders dominating 13-0.
Well, the Raiders are probably as unscientific as a football team can be. They have won over the years by dominating the line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively, and that has been what's happened tonight. They are controlling the line, whether they have it or whether the Broncos have it. And it better change before this game is over, or the Broncos are in for the longest of nights.
And eventually they're going to throw deep. There's no question about that. They don't fool around doing this.
Second and 4, and Bell runs right into Willie Oshiden.
And that's what's called in offensive line play a whiff. Willie goes to the inside, and he's pretty much untouched, much to Nick Bell's chagrin. There's Oshiden, number 91 there at the upright. Look at that. He just takes a pinch to the inside and gets right between Nick Bell's cheek and gum.
That was a whiff.
Third down and 7 at the 26-yard line. Hostetler, before he gets hit by Grove, guns one to Alexander Wright at the 38-yard line. And Alexander Wright, who has won the NFL's fastest man competition, the rap on him was work habits and bad hands and all of that, makes a very nice catch.
Once again, though, Jeff Hostetler waited until Alexander Wright had all the time in the world. Watch him. He just works downfield. Hostetler's sitting back there nice and secure. Nothing here. I'll just move over here. Maybe I'll be open over here. You can't let that happen.
That was not a timing pattern. That was a sit in your rocking chair and wait for somebody to come open pattern.
Hostetler, who is 7 out of 9, slides to his left and guns one again complete to Alexander Wright on a replay for the 47 of the Broncos.
Well, that was almost a replay, too. He just drifted out of the pocket. Alexander Wright again finding the gap in the zone defense. All the time Hostetler could want. Somehow the Broncos are going to have to figure out some way to get some kind of pressure on Hostetler. Let's watch Wright again. He takes it downfield. He'll look back. Nothing here. Now move to the inside. Find the open hole. Hostetler with all the time delivers.
And do you sense an uneasiness in the crowd?
Whoa.
There's a false start on the Raiders. Looked like Bruce Wilkerson at the right tackle spot kind of flinched. But this crowd is beginning to express their displeasure at the way their Broncs are looking tonight.
We'll be talking with former Denver Bronco head coach Dan Reeves at halftime. The Giants off to a great start, 5-1 on the year. Of course, Dan was the Broncos coach 12 years here. Took him to 3 Super Bowls.
First and 15 at the 48-yard line. Broncos almost jump, but no flag. Hostetler guns one, tries to get it into Brown, but Braxton got a hand on it. Braxton breaks it up.
Braxton, good play on Brown.
He did the hardest thing in the world, and that's come from behind, get around to knock the ball down without going through the receiver and drawing the interference ball.
Or hooking the right arm around his neck. He made a good move. Braxton coming around front. He keeps that right arm away from the receiver. That's what draws the flag, when you get that right arm wrapped around the neck.
Great look at it. Great look at the perfect way to do it for a corner.
Second and 15. Haas. There's Brown wide open, 40-yard line, and a little short of the first down. We talked about Tim Brown. Tim said last week his agent told him the Raiders were trying to work out a deal with Green Bay for unsigned Tony Bennett. What the Packers would have to do, of course, to make that deal is to sign Bennett first, then make the trade. And I talked to Brown on the field before the game. He came up and he said, "Have I been traded yet?" I said, "You tell me." He said, "I don't know what's going to happen." I asked him, "What do you want to happen?" He says, "I just want to play where I can catch the ball." Well, he'll catch the ball wherever he plays. He's the leading receiver.
Well, he appears to be catching it here.
He does.
Good play there by Dimry.
Oh, he was, too. There was a blitz on, and it was a poorly timed blitz on the part of the Broncos. The Raiders had a quick count on before the safety blitz could get into play. It snapped the ball, and a terrific play by Dimry.
If the Broncos are to get back in this football game, and if some good things happen for them later, they'll have to look back at this play at 13-0 with the Raiders driving and forcing a punting situation as huge with a capital H by Charles Dimry.
And by both the cornerbacks. Braxton on the play before.
Yep.
Jeff
You're exactly right.
Gotcha punt. He tries to angle it to the near side, but doesn't have the proper angle, and it winds up in the end zone. 4:51 remaining in the first half. Broncos still scoreless. Take over, trailing 13-0. Broncos trailing 13-0 from the 20-yard line. Rod Bernstein cuts it back and runs over Anderson, and not too many people do that, and takes it to the 29-yard line.
That's too many people run out of the backfield weighing about 250.
And Eddie Anderson's real glad about that. He thinks that's a swell idea. Let's limit the number of 250-pound guys that come out of the backfield.
Second and a long one. 4:20 to go in the half. Derek Russell is the man in motion. And it's Bernstein again. He gets the first down. Takes it up to the 31-yard line. Tackled by Chester McLaughlin.
And a smattering of applause here from the Bronco faithful. That's as good a thing that has happened to the Denver offense since the first drive when they looked so good. Just can't seem to get it going, and look at this. The #1 passing offense in the NFL has contributed minus 14 yards tonight. Of course, that's because the Raiders are #2 in passing defense.
And here's Bernstein again, and they're not doing it up top, so they try it on the ground, but they're running down to the point right now where the clock is factored in. McLaughlin makes the hit. 2 timeouts remaining for the Broncos and the 2-minute warning. And when you're talking about John Elway, that might as well be about a week and a half.
What they've done with Elway too tonight, they have contained him. He's tried to spin out of there on several occasions when ordinarily you would see him get into a broken field, and against a man-for-man defense that John Elway, once he puts that ball down and starts to run with it, you don't get him before the line of scrimmage, he's going to get a lot of yards.
Second down and 6. Elway. And Elway runs for the first down to the 44. Harrison and Wallace make the hit, and Russell is shaken up just momentarily.
Well, he moves the chains, and as he so often does with Denver, he takes the load onto his own shoulders and tries to make something happen. Russell has to come off. You see him really in pain. Nice hit, and you see the ball comes out. Aaron Wallace puts a pretty good stroke on Elway, but the ball bounced right back to him.
Clock stops. And officials timeout here as they work on Russell. First and 10 at the 44. Vance Johnson and Arthur Marshall are the wideouts. Johnson at the top of the screen caught 10 passes, a career high last week. Zip tonight. Sharp in motion. Sharp makes the catch and takes it across the 50, gets to the Raider 48-yard line, tackled by Winston Moss.
Oh, he just skipped over Terry McDaniel. Terrific move by Sharp, getting another 3 or 4 yards out of that. McDaniel, ordinarily a good open field tackler, coming up with a miss.
2-minute warning. It is second down and 2 at the 48-yard line. 2 minutes to go, 2 timeouts left for the Denver Broncos, and it's incomplete. He tried to jam it into Bernstein at the 46-yard line. Joe Kelly covering. Elway has been sacked 4 times tonight, and he is 5 for 10 for 30 yards. Gunther Cunningham. The Raiders don't list people as well. We listed him as a coordinator. They call him. I think they list him as defense. Yeah, just defense. Third down and 3. A little toss to Milburn. And he is tossed by Mike Jones, a backup linebacker. That's the second very nice hit he's made tonight. Third-year backer out of Missouri.
How's that for a textbook hit, huh?
Yeah.
Of course, it helps when you can textbook hits. I find happen more often when you're tackling somebody who only weighs 177 pounds. It's a lot easier. You notice that it's not quite so easy on a guy like Bernstein, but you get Milburn, who doesn't make it the 180. A lot easier to stick that guy and knock him backwards.
Big bully. And they fake it, and they blow the fake. And it doesn't matter who recovers, the Raiders have it. They tried to snap the ball to the up back as they run a fake punt. Jeff Robinson was the snapper.
It's the Raiders celebrating as if they've recovered this. It really doesn't matter who recovers this.
Steve Ortmeyer, who coaches the special teams for the Raiders, his group does its job. But the Broncos try to trick the Raiders and wind up blowing the play.
The ball hardly leaves the ground.
I don't know whether that was a trick play or not. That might have been a bad snap.
It looked like Melander, the center, kind of dribbled the ball back. Robinson, actually, 94, not 64.
We'll take another look in a moment.
Yeah, that ball barely got off the ground.
38-yard line. Here's Hostetler. And the defense of Denver rises to the occasion. I just assume when a play looks that bad, or the snap is that bad, you're trying to fake it.
Well, I think it's a good assumption, but I think that just got stuck or something. Didn't come off the ground. Watch this.
Take a look at it.
Rivers wasn't expecting it, number 38.
Yeah, the ball kind of dragged along the ground, and it only went back.
Yep.
I don't even think that was a fake punt. I think that was an intended snap all the way back, and Robinson just, for some reason, just didn't get the ball up in the air. It ended up looking like a fake as it happened live, but I think his intention was to drill that thing back to ruin.
Dan Williams gets credit for that last sack, the rookie from Toledo, their top draft pick.
He's been around.
Yeah, after a start like this, he's going to be doing the dishes before long.
2nd and 16, and Nick Bell goes rumbling down to the 33-yard line, where Dennis Smith unrumbles him, and he's about 4 yards shy of the first.
Looks like the Raiders take another timeout. Of course, if this was at the Coliseum, they wouldn't even have to take timeouts. The clock would not even start.
That's their last timeout. Boy, did they... The most bizarre ending last week. Many of you either saw the game in the highlights where they didn't start the clock with 32 seconds, then they stopped it, then they put it at 7, then they didn't restart it on the snap. And
this was not a Super Bowl team he took over last year. And he's got them looking like one.
Raiders have just spent their final timeout. It's 3rd and 5 at the 33-yard line. If they don't get another yard here, Jaeger would be looking at a 50-yard field goal attempt. 55 seconds remaining in the half. 3rd down, 5. Hostetler for Ismail, and he bounced back before he can get the first down. It's just a short game. Frank Robinson makes the hit at the 31, so now you're looking at a 48 or 49-yard attempt.
Again, the Denver defense on several occasions here in the first half has had to go against the Raiders in bad field position, and they've held pretty well.
I'm just surprised the Broncos haven't called a timeout here to conserve time on the other end of the clock. This is a 49-yard attempt by Jaeger.
I'm not so
and
sure.
The flag goes down. The kick was good, but I don't understand a holding call against the Raiders. I'm going to take that off the board, but I don't know why the Broncos didn't call timeout and save some time on the other end.
You think maybe they're not all that interested in running an offensive play here
Well,
in the rest of this half?
Number 88, 10 yards, repeat, 4th down.
Maybe, but you have John Elway and you're down by 13. You gotta do something.
Ethan Horton costing the Raiders 3. Top of your screen, number 88.
There he is, right up there in the corner. Ethan Horton right up here.
A little indecisive as to who to take. Dennis Smith was coming to the inside, looked at him for a moment, then realized he had a man on the outside, so he just grabbed him.
So instead of a Jaeger attempt, an attempt right now, if you're looking at a field goal, would be 58 yards.
You know, to get back to your point, Al and Frank, I just don't think Denver has any confidence in their offense to try to run anything and make anything happen here in the balance of the first half. I think they're willing to go back and try to regroup.
Yeah, remember what happened last week against Green Bay? They're down, 23 points, and they go into the locker room, and Wade Phillips got up on a folding chair and gave a little lecture as to who feels we can go out and win this football game. Step forward if you do. Well, this was a different football team that came out in the second half, and maybe that had something to do with their decision not to stop the clock.
I hope he remembers his speech.
And has the same folding chair.
That's right.
He may throw the folding chair. Raiders took a delay of game, and that moves it back 5 yards. And Denver accepts the penalty, and now Gossett has a better angle to try to bang one out of bounds, and he does. And at the 3-yard line, a flag is down at the 41. 10 seconds remain. But there's another marker down.
The only thing that could be a disaster for Denver here would be some type of a hold. A hold before the kick would be a Raider first down.
Unnecessary roughness on number 52. After the play, 15 yards from where the ball went out of bounds. First down, Denver.
That's Jim Fossil in the middle. He is the offensive coordinator who's normally upstairs, but at the end of the half he comes down and then joins them in the locker room. So they've got to restructure the thinking at halftime.
Fossil, of course, came in after 2 years with the Giants, but he was John Elway's offensive quarterback coach at Stanford University, and Wade Phillips didn't know him that well, but he asked around a lot of people, and he wanted to put in that West Coast type of offense. Fossil was familiar with it. And boy, I'll tell you, Art Shell is not a happy camper at the moment.
Well, he said, you know, Art Shell will accept a number of penalties in certain circumstances, but not that one. That's Mike Jones, who got an earful.
But Mike get a complete earful. Ordinarily, you don't see much. He's not very demonstrative on the sidelines. That's about as wild as I've seen him.
So Elway will kneel down, and that's the end of the first half. And that's a sound you rarely hear at Mile High, because the Broncos rarely lose here. But to a cascade of boos, off they go. 13-0 Raiders at the half, and we'll return with halftime activities after this message from the NFL in a word from our ABC station.
A lot of early snow up in the Rockies. World's greatest skiers out.
I think the field is in remarkably good condition for the amount of rain that we had yesterday. We were here last night. They had it very effectively covered, and we were down on the surface before the game, and it's really dry. It's a good job here by the Denver grounds crew.
So the Raiders have the lead, and they'll get the ball as Jason Elam kicks off. And it's fielded at the 9 by Alexander Wright. And he is taken down at the 24-yard line by Elijah Alexander. Let's take a look at the halftime statistics. Raiders dominating in every phase of the competition, and Haas having a good evening.
Look at that. That is extraordinary. The third down from the top on the right. -6 yards passing for the Denver Broncos. I think it's safe to assume it has been a long time since a game in which John Elway quarterbacked the football team. They were in minus passing numbers at halftime.
1st and 10 at the 24. And it is Robinson who starts with a 5-yard gain out to the 29-yard line. ABC's Monday Night Football is being... 2nd and 5 at the 29-yard line with Wright in motion. Robinson again. And the 8th round pick from Northeast Louisiana is close to a first. He's tackled by Wyman and Cragen. One reason that Robinson was maybe overlooked a little bit, in addition to the aforementioned injury we talked about, he also played with a guy named Roosevelt Potts in the backfield there, and Potts is making a mark for himself as a rookie with the Colts this year. Those are his numbers for the evening.
We haven't seen him on the other end of his talent, and that is he's a pretty good receiver out of the backfield.
Just none of the Raider running backs have big per carry averages coming into tonight's game. Bell less than 4 yards a carry. Robinson less than 3 yards a carry.
Yeah, let me ask you, this is a big, strong offensive line, but basically an offensive line that protects the passer so very well. And there is a big difference, isn't there?
Well, the Raiders always used to have people that could do both, and I think they still do. I just don't think that they have an all-star running back. I know Nick Bell's he was a number 2 guy, and he's their number 1 guy this year. But I don't see an NFL everyday running back here carrying the load for the Raiders.
And Hostetler carries it himself, and he carries the load for a first down on 3rd and inches.
I know that Nick Bell may blossom into that type of player. He's been certainly hurt this year. He's missed the first 4 games with that hamstring, and staying healthy has been a problem that has followed him throughout his career here in the league the last 3 years. But he has got to get healthy, and he has got to contribute on a week-in, week-out basis to really certify himself as a legitimate NFL #1 running back.
Right about one thing, Hostetler is the second leading running back for these Raiders coming into tonight.
1st and 10 at the 35-yard line. And Hostetler almost has the ball taken away and then puts it in his left hand and gets sacked at the 32.
What you're seeing from Jeff Hostetler is
I think Hostetler's hurt.
the reluctance to come out of the pocket, and it's probably the ankle once again.
Yeah.
He's been staying in the pocket all night long, and Vince Evans, who turned in such a sparkling performance last week in relief of Hostetler, is warming up. And Hostetler playing with a very sore ankle.
Oh, and beating the ground in frustration.
You know how it is, Dan. If you had a sprained ankle, you just keep doing it over and over.
Well, that's what it has been. Let's look at it from the other side of the field. Oh, there, right on the backside, you can see it gets caught underneath him. And Jeff Hostetler remains on the field, and he's up now. Come into the game with a bad ankle, and you go out with a bad knee. They've been looking at the knee of Jeff Hostetler over on the sideline.
And here's Evans in the game, and his first pass is intercepted off Brown's hands to Dennis Smith, and he gets tackled at the 40-yard line. So Evans, who worked magic last week, comes in leading 13-0, and his first pass is intercepted because Brown couldn't hold it.
Oh, well thrown ball as you look at owner Al Davis, but that ball was thrown not as good as you want to throw it by Evans. Tim Brown maybe thinking run before he tucked it away. Watch this, looking right back at Evans. Maybe it's so easy, he's thinking about getting out of the traffic. He doesn't concentrate, and Dennis Smith comes up with it.
He just didn't put his hands up high enough. Looked like he just misjudged the height of the ball, and it grazes off the top of his fingers. Didn't even bounce off the face of his hands.
Here it comes.
Bernstein cuts it back, picks up a couple, takes it to the 37-yard line.
Well, Evans certainly can't be over on the sideline punishing himself for that pass. He gets hung with it, but it's really not in any shape, manner, or form his fault.
I think you described it right, Dan, but again, I think it's just so easily caught that Tim Brown is thinking run before he tucks it away.
He pulled his hands down before the ball got there.
2nd and 8 at the 37, 12 minutes to go, third quarter, 13-0 Raiders. Bernstein.
But the Broncos don't make something happen on this possession, then they are really going to be walking over to the sidelines feeling pretty inadequate. Dennis Smith gave him a big lift. Hostetler tries to get it going over on the Raiders sideline, but what a critical 3rd and long coming up for the Denver Broncos. Failure here is a giant black eye.
Who would you want doing it other than number 7?
Well, number 7 had a lot of white jerseys in his face tonight.
3rd and 8 at the 37-yard line. Away, guns one, first down over the middle, into the arms of Shannon Sharp, tackled by Jones.
And you put it right, Al, he gunned it into Shannon Sharp, who has real soft hands for a big man. Pretty good coverage on Sharp, and for this particular time, good protection for Elway. In between two defenders, and Elway guns it in.
Well, Sharp, who started as a wide receiver, now is a tight end. When he's got single coverage on a linebacker like he had that time, that's the type of a situation that John should look for every time.
Here's Bernstein, and Bernstein for a 9-yard gain, dragging Eddie Anderson behind a John Nylander block. 2nd and 1, and they're roaring at Mile High.
Came ever so close to winding up in the end zone. Bernstein just one kick away from getting out of the grasp of the tackler and taking it all the way.
Rod, who came into the game, as we said before, with a 3.0 average. 5-3 to this point, 2nd and 1 at the 16. Bernstein, and up for a first to the 14-yard line. Tackled by Harrison. 9:45 to go in the third.
This
This is one of those deals for the Raiders that if Denver should get in here and score, you're thinking to yourself, boy, we've been dominating this football game in every shape, manner, or form, and then you look at the scoreboard and you see that you have less than a touchdown lead. That's the absolute urgency of this drive for the Denver Broncos.
Delpino and Bernstein split backs behind Elway. First and 10 at the 13-yard line. To Bernstein, and then Delpino was the intended receiver, but Elway had the pressure put on by Anthony Smith and had to get rid of it early.
And we've said it a couple of times tonight. There are only a few quarterbacks, a few athletes that would be able to get rid of the football, as Elway did then with Smith right in his face.
Well, Smith just didn't buy the fake. Watch the nifty little fake to the back by John Elway. That's to get those defensive linemen to turn the corner, but Anthony Smith didn't even give it a half a step. He continued right upfield, honored his responsibilities, and forced that incompletion.
Second and 10 at the 13-yard line. Russell in motion. Bernstein. Tripped up, gets to the 9. It'll be third down and 6 at the 9-yard line. Nolan Harrison making the hit with 9 minutes to go in the third, and Bernstein a little slow in getting up.
Shannon Sharp a little slow getting up.
Shannon, of course, with the pass play coming up, the pass situation, you would like to have a Shannon Sharp that was looking a little perkier than that. He's your go-to guy and has been tonight.
Third and 6 at the 9. 13-0 Raiders. Elway out of the gun, flanked by Milburn. 4 wide receivers. And the Raiders showing blitz all the way, and where they induced is the question.
Boy, that looked like a total jailbreak as the Raiders come across the line of scrimmage in mass.
I think John saw it setting up as the blitz, and he was going on a single count, a single hard count. He just held up on it.
Before anything occurred on the line of scrimmage, the 25-second clock ran out. Delayed on the offense. 5 yards, still third down.
John just waited too long. He was trying to get the offsides, and he gets a delay of game.
Well, this is John turns around. This is just not fair.
75, Brian Habib said, not me, I'm right here.
Well, lost in the humor of all this is what a critical error that is, taking a 5-yard penalty at this stage of the game at that position on the field. That hurts the Broncos.
Third down and 11. Elway has to get up to the 3-yard line. Instead, Howie Long drags them down. 5 sacks for the Raiders tonight.
No one touched Howie Long. Man, he's too good of an athlete to let come in, even for a John Elway to spin away from.
Working against Brian Habib.
Touched him, but hardly.
Yeah, he's right around Habib in a hurry.
What do you call it, a whiff?
That's a whiff. That's a long, Howie Long induced whiff, but a whiff nonetheless.
That is a long sack in more ways than one. That's a 14-yard loss, and sets up a 46-yard field goal for Jason Elam, the rookie from Hawaii. And Elam's kick might have been deflected as a flag down at the line of scrimmage. I thought it was tracked.
I thought it was hit too, Al. I thought somebody got a hand on it. It might have been
running
Howie.
Into the kicker on the defense.
Whoa!
5 yards. Repeat fourth down.
But if you block it.
Remember now, roughing the kicker in that situation would have given them a first down. This is only a 5-yard penalty, but it will give them another crack at it. Howie Long sure ran off the field like he's the guy that got a hand on the ball. It was Howie Long with his right hand. He blocked the field goal, and we have a lot of extra players on the field. Let's see if we can see the roughing, or the running into, rather. Oh, boy. Whoa, boy, that's James Trapp, number 37, who really was more or less lying at the feet of Elam.
I think he trapped the official into calling the play.
That was an effective job by Elam of acting.
Pretty good acting job for a rookie.
It sure was.
Well, they're going to mark it off and let him kick again.
I think that's the you've got to be kidding me approach by Art Shell on the Raiders sideline.
Terry Austin trying to get it sorted out.
You have running into the kicker and roughing the kicker, and then you have the kicker falling over a player on the field, and that was the third category that we just saw.
That was smooching the kicker.
Now maybe we'll see a little more violent contact from this angle. He definitely slides into the ankle. There's no question there was some contact, and Elam made the most of it. Let's see if they can make the most of it with a little better blocking. The Raiders the last time overpowered the Broncos up front, and Long got the block.
Elam now with a 40-yard attempt. Tommy Maddox the hold, and the third-round draft choice puts it through with 7:30 to go in the third. So the Broncos finally get on the board, but they were down near the goal line, and Al Davis's Raiders see their lead shaved to 10.
A lot of jumping up and down on the Raiders sideline. We'll pass along the explanation. Those of you that study the game know that if you run into the kicker, but the kick is, you block the kick, that there's no penalty. But keep in mind, it has to be the same person. You can tip the ball, and then if you run into the kicker, that's no penalty. But in this case, it was two different people. Trapp hit the kicker. Howie Long blocked the ball. That way, it's enforced, the running into the kicker. The fact that it was blocked doesn't matter.
And that's why the Raiders were so angry on the sideline as Elam sends one through the end zone. So Jason Elam sends the Raiders into play at their own 20-yard line, and Hostetler, who was forced out on the last series, and Evans saw his first pass intercepted after it was deflected, will take over at the 20-yard line.
We often have to be away from home, regardless of what's happening back home. And Frank, I know you're having to work overtime here tonight. Today's your anniversary, isn't it?
7th anniversary. Thank you very much, Dan.
Yeah, that's, well, we all end up in that position where we're gone.
She probably is a non-on-land, but Kathy, happy anniversary.
I think she's hanging on every word.
Hope you got the flowers.
That Al and I sent.
From the 20-yard line. We didn't forget.
If you did, they were inexpensive.
We called Merlin Olsen.
Collect.
Greg Robinson gains 2 up to the 22. Second down and 8. 7 minutes to go, third quarter. Well,
we're keeping you up.
Vince Evans has had for the night. That's what, when you're 38 years old.
A little older.
And it's 9 o'clock at night.
He better stay loose, though. Jeff is now playing on a sore knee and a sore ankle.
Second and 8. Hostetler to Tim Brown to the 29-yard line. You know, we were talking about Brown before in his reaction. And then you say, well, what do the Raiders say? Well, you know, the Raiders have always thrived on secrecy. They love deception. So naturally, they're going to discount everything. And even if something were happening, you couldn't expect them to say anything. And last night when we talked to Art Shell about it, he just said, it's a rumor started by this guy or that guy. The Tim Brown to Green Bay situation.
He was a little more specific than that.
Well, third down and 1 at the 29-yard line. And Nick Dell gets taken down by Simon Fletcher, who's been silent tonight, but very noisy at a critical juncture.
He turned this crowd on, and it can make a big difference. We've seen it over the years. Bronco players respond.
Well, the one thing about this crowd, they know better than to leave. There's no sense leaving a game before this thing is over with. I think too many of them in the past have been on the parking lot when this game was finally won.
We learned too in '88, didn't we?
Yeah, you got that right.
On fourth down, Gossett sends the kick in the direction of Glenn Milburn. The 20-80 fumbles the football and then recovers it at the 32-yard line.
Boy, did he
punt and a 5-yard return.
Boy, did he have an Allen. Milburn might have gone places with that.
Denver Broncos take over at the 32, 5:25 left third quarter. Raiders lead by 10, and Rod Bernstein goes through the middle and picks up about 3 to the 35-yard line. Smith in on the tackle with Anderson. Anthony Smith. You know, it's a funny thing. They were talking about getting Smith more playing time. And after some research, Smith has actually been in for 80% of the snaps thus far this season. So even though he doesn't start, Townsend does. Smith in for 4 plays out of every 5. Second down and 8. Elway throwing off his back foot, hits Reggie Johnson, the tight end, up at the 36-yard line.
Boy, John just got, again, the Denver offensive line just pushed back Anthony Smith, one of the guys right in there. Remember how slowly the Raiders brought him along when he was a rookie? Just take a look at that shot right at the end there. Smith puts on Elway. Good catch there by Johnson. Here it is at the end. Kind of slapped him in the face a little bit as he went by. But they brought Anthony Smith along at a leisurely pace, and it has really paid off for the Raiders.
Flew by the All-Pro Gary Zimmerman again. Third down and 6. Elway throws on the run. Thinks he's Elway. Hits Russell. Breaking tackle. Takes it all the way to the 30-yard line. Stopped finally by Joe Kelly.
Good call. You get Elway under pressure as he's been. You roll him out where he can either run the football, look over the field as he did then. Elway now rolling out. Russell just breaks it off.
It's a missed tackle right here, though, that's key.
Well, I think it was McDaniel trying to get the deflection or even the interception. He just mistimed it. Barry McDaniel, Washington in the other corner. They take a lot of chances. That one backfired.
First and 10 at the 31-yard line. Bernstein started to stumble, but winds up gaining 6 to the 25-yard line. Smith again. Derek Russell just made that last grab.
Now, you touched on it earlier. Vance Johnson, who had 10 receptions against Green Bay. I don't think he has had one yet this evening.
Been blank.
It often happens, though. You have a great game, and what are you going to do defensively? You go to the featured man, give him double coverage. I'm sure that's what Johnson's been seeing most of the night.
Second and 4, sharp in motion. Delpino's in the game, fake to him. Elway then tries to unload, and again the Raiders with heavy pressure on John. Third and 4.
Anthony Smith again. Aaron Wallace was there. Elway had nothing else he could do but get rid of it.
I'm sure John would like to get in that huddle and say, I wish you guys had rear view mirrors on your helmet so you could see what's happening behind you, because I am scrambling for my very life. That's all he could do. We've seen some magic being spun by John Elway, but even he has trouble when he's on the move that much.
Third down and 4. Again, heavy pressure, and again he's forced to throw early, and that time it was Aaron Wallace.
John's campaigning for a late hit.
Wallace got to John Elway, and Delpino, the intended receiver, they picked him off on the circle.
Take a look left of your screen. Aaron Wallace is going to come in. Oh, and he does. He goes right across the face to Elway, and John has every right to get up and complain about that. That's a forearm to the face by Aaron Wallace, and if anything's indicative and reflective of the Raider Broncos series, a hit like that is.
42-yard attempt by Elam, and that one is no good. So Elam, who made one from 40, can't connect from 42. Big miss, would have put him within a touchdown. Instead, still 10 points.
Taking up this game
for the year and a half.
I figured Nicholas called you for some tips.
No question. 15%. Here's Hostetler throwing to Brown. And the Raiders begin this drive after the missed Elam field goal with a 16-yard pickup up to the 41-yard line. Tim Brown won the Heisman at Notre Dame. It's kind of funny. You can't call him a star, really, in the NFL. He's had some good years, but he's just kind of been on the fringe through his career with the Raiders.
He came back from very serious knee surgery after his second year. He has made some major plays for the Raiders since then.
1st and 10 up at the 41-yard line. And Robinson, the rookie, busts one down to the 42 of Denver, where he's tackled by Braxton, but there's a marker down at the line of scrimmage, and it looks like it's going to go against LA.
Holding number 72 of the offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
Well, that's Don Mosbar, one of the great centers in the game, a perennial Pro Bowler. But I think that's a good look at. I think that's a good look at the explosiveness that we see there. Here's Mosbar right here in the middle.
They don't see him that often in the middle, do they, Dan?
Well, let's take a look and see if we can get it. Oh yeah, he held him there at the end, certainly, and working against Greg Cragen, who's finally back and healthy for the Broncos. That's a good call by the officials. But we saw the explosiveness by Robinson that I think has got him that starting position for the Raiders. That was a good upfield burst.
Napoleon McCallum, 41, is in the game. It's 1st and 20. And McCallum blocks for Robinson. And Robinson taken down by Mecklenburg, who got his ankle and didn't let go, and there's another flag down.
Well, no matter what happens with the flag, that was a great play by Mecklenburg. Fighting through the block. Hanging in there.
This penalty may go against the Raiders, or against Montoya.
Number 82 of the offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
James Jett is the guy they call. That's the 11th penalty against the Raiders tonight.
That's one more than their average for the year.
There it is in the history of the league. Most penalties per game. The coach who coached the team of the most penalties, Joe Walton, Jerry Glanville is there. Then you've got 2 Raider coaches, Sheldon Flores and Monty Clark, filling out the top 5. And tonight's story, well, there it is. They're almost in triple figures.
They had a 16 penalty game earlier in the season, I believe, against Kansas City.
They did.
Is this 1st and 30, or is this my imagination?
It is 1st and 30. That is correct. You are correct, sir.
Wow. 2 penalties ago, they had a 1st and 30 down at the 35-yard line.
Number 21, here's Montgomery. And Montgomery, who's basically used as a 3rd down back, picks up 2 to make it 2nd and 28.
What an incredible family the Montgomerys are. They have like 8 brothers, and 4 or 5 of them played in the NFL. Of course, Wilbert with the great career with Philadelphia, but a couple others. Mom and Dad Montgomery must be pretty proud. I think there might be 9 brothers, and 8 of them have college degrees, and it's just an extraordinary family situation.
And one of the other brothers, Clee, used to play with the Raiders. Tyrone II from the family to wear the silver and black. Play clock down to 1. They get the play off. 2nd and 28. Haas dumps it underneath, incomplete. Ethan Horton couldn't hold it.
Well, you saw Jeff Hostetler's inability to do what he can do so well, and that is take off and run the football. He has great speed, a good runner from the pocket, but that ankle is totally inhibiting his scrambling out of the pocket tonight. And again, you were with us a little earlier. You saw him go out with a sore knee. He's come back from that, but he is very reluctant to run out of the pocket. And that is very uncharacteristic of Jeff Hostetler.
3rd and 28 at the 22-yard line. 15 seconds left, 3rd quarter. 13-3 Raiders.
Look out, here comes the blitz.
And Hostetler unloads it and is lucky it wasn't picked off by Dimry.
Oh, that's a great sight before the snap of the ball. Both the Broncos safeties come flying up towards the line of scrimmage. That's an impressive sight. That's like a battleship swinging the turret around when Atwater and Smith start coming up towards the line of scrimmage.
And Hostetler only had 3 seconds on the play clock when they made their move. He couldn't change the play. He couldn't get out of it.
And in reality, it was blocked well. Take a look at it. Here they come. Now that's enough to make a guy think twice.
Gossett with a 42-yard kick to Milburn. And a 10-yard run back to the 45-yard line as the clock expires. And the 3rd quarter comes to an end.
A little altercation there on the sidelines. Dimry involved in that.
But that's the end of the third quarter. stereo. 13-3, the Raiders lead. Broncos have the Raiders just where they want them. I mean, what else is John Elway known for more than fourth quarter comebacks?
How many over the history? 31? Is it
A lot.
I think a lot of them, though, have come in the past where they have played a little better than they have played up to this point. They're going to have a real reversal offensively.
And speaking of reversal, they take the reverse, and it's Bernstein who takes it to the 46 of the Raiders as we begin the fourth quarter. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorff in Denver. 13-3, the Raiders on top.
Now, one of the things that has aided the Broncos in their comebacks here at Mile High Stadium is the fatigue factor. In the fourth quarter, the visitors are normally drained. You see that we still see a domination by the Raiders in yardage, but the Broncos slowly creeping back into it. And we'll see how much the Raiders have benefited by juggling their personnel.
Bernstein gets the first down on 2nd and short, taking it to the 42-yard line.
And Dan, nowhere where that fatigue comes in more is that defensive line. They have been 4- and 5-yard wind sprints every time Elway drops the pass.
Raiders.
Yeah. And they have been sprints too, because seldom have they been slowed down.
A lot of whiffs.
They have been full speed sprints. Another look there at one of the all-time great defensive tackles in the history of the league. He's played inside, he's played outside.
Blocked to
always played well.
First and 10 at the 42-yard line. Here's Bernstein. And Bernstein can't get away from a quartet of Raiders behind the line of scrimmage. Loss of 4. And it would figure Nolan Harrison, he's been there all night long. Howie Long and company.
A little extraneous sound. Nothing to do with ripping his face off.
Now, just a tremendous play at the point of attack by the Raiders. I think that was Nolan Harrison, 74, who just blew upfield and disrupted the entire play.
But you know, here comes the pass rush. They're just going to pin their ears back, and they know that John's got to put it in the air.
2nd and 14. He throws it to Sharp. Winston Moss makes the tackle. What was that?
Somebody needs to get a new line over there.
Yeah.
I think
Good call. You throw it underneath, high percentage stuff, get the completion. Hope that
that's the Raiders
Sharp
version.
will break something.
That's the Raiders version of "Have a nice day."
Yeah, right.
They do that almost every play. And of course, Wade Phillips, we talked with him about it last night. The Raiders giving you a little pop on the head and they get up, giving you a shove, giving you a kick. He said, we just hope we can point at the scoreboard and say that's the way we play this game.
3rd and 8 at the 40. 12:30 to go. Raiders lead by 10, and Elway buys time. Throws, has the open man to Russell, and that's a first down at the 27-yard line on a key conversion.
Smart move by moving Elway.
And what a great coordination between the two of them. Russell taking it deep, working against Terry McDaniel, timing it out beautifully with Elway on the rollout. Right about this point, Russell breaks it back towards the ball and away from McDaniel to get the first down.
And that is an offensive play that I'd keep using the rest of the evening. Let John run, let him test the perimeter, make the Raiders chase him, and get out of the pocket, which has been collapsing more often than not.
What pocket?
The fake to Bernstein, long, gets blocked out of the play, but the pass is tipped and it's incomplete. Might have been McLaughlin who got his hands on it, number 91.
Elway trying to go back to Derek Russell over the middle. Russell was open, though McLaughlin made the difference.
Another of those number 1 draft choices on the Raider
Defensive
line.
Well over 300 pounds.
And kind of reminiscent of the way that they brought Anthony Smith along. Not throwing them in there all the time right away, kind of bringing them along slowly and letting him study at the feet of somebody like a Howie Long. Greg Townsend.
2nd and 10. Great protection. Catch is made and taken down at the 1-yard line is Arthur Marshall. 1st and goal. And now the other official says touchdown. They're going to confer. One guy said it's at the half-yard line. The other guy says it's 6 points.
Oh, that was close. But they're going to give it to them. A for maybe the first time tonight.
The defender rolled the receiver over his body into the end zone. That's a touchdown.
If that's what happened, it would be a touchdown.
If your knees don't hit the ground, you are still active, and the ball is still alive. Let's take a look at it from behind. There's Marshall.
Does your bottom count?
Yeah, I don't know. That's
Tough call.
That looks to me like it's down. Looked to me like his body was down on the ground.
But that's one of the few times tonight Elway had the time, had the protection.
Derek Hoskins was the defender on that play, but from that vantage point, it looked like the seat of Arthur Marshall's pants hit the ground before he went into the end zone with a football.
The official who made the call was
on the other side.
right.
Elam to the point after. And the Broncos, who were shut out the last time they faced the Raiders, 24-0 in L.A. last year, and shut out tonight for the first 48 minutes, make it 13-10. I think it was the right cheek.
Rightly so, should have been spotted at about the 1-yard line.
He didn't feel he got his end into the end zone.
No, he did not.
Elam sends it down, and it's right, and a great tackle is made at the 11. There's a flag down as Rondell Jones makes the tackle. There's a flag at the 28-yard line. Back judge threw it. Back judge is Tom Millis.
Turn the run back. Number 57 of the receiving team, holding half a distance to the goal. First down.
Joe Kelly. Here was Shell's reaction while we took the commercial after the touchdown.
He is going looking for somebody, and I used the word berserk. For Art Shell, that is berserk.
He got a little wilder than that, too.
Yeah, he did. That was the tail end of his, that was the very end of his demonstration. This is as stoic a coach on the sidelines as you will ever find. But he feels it slipping away here a little bit. They blew one to the Jets they won one on the Jets coming back. He doesn't want to have that happen to him here.
And a fumble by Hostetler, and Baker has it. Greg Bragan.
Hostetler just didn't get the snap from center.
Well, Art Shell wanted to see his defense work with their back to the goal line. I don't think that he envisioned it under this scenario. Not with a fumbled snap on the very first play.
This happened last week, and Blair Thomas took it in for an early touchdown for the Jets.
Bad exchange.
Rosbar, the center, an 11-year player. Hostetler, a 9-year player. 20 years in the league, and the ball's on the ground.
Well, they've been doing this for, what, 18, 20 weeks, and they're over there discussing it.
You saw that picture shaking, and the reason is because everybody is stamping their feet. It's an old stadium, and it's a little unnerving when they get going here, but they do.
And Dan doesn't like it.
No, I don't like it either.
Well, I just think about the 4 million people that were in here for 81 baseball games this year. With
the way by Cleveland on a Metcalf touchdown at the end of the game with just a handful of seconds left. Last week they were on the other side of drama. Now they're watching a 13-0 lead dissipate.
And remember the colossal advantage the Raiders had in the first half. Look at that. Now you're down to a mere 16 yards difference.
First and goal at the 5-yard line. That's Bernstein. The single setback. Bernstein gets it. Bernstein gets to about the 1.5. Kelly and others push him back. 11:20 to go in regulation. Each team 3-2. Winner of the game is a game back at Kansas City. The loser is 2 back.
Short yardage offense for Denver. They bring in the other tight end. Jerry Evans comes in. And Del Pino for the 2 setbacks. Del Pino joining Bernstein.
Second and goal. And another timeout is called by the Raiders. Ooh.
Timeout, Los Angeles, their second.
They've had to burn 2 in the last minute.
Well, they were short a man on the field. They had only 11 men out there.
You can count it by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Supposed to have 11. Now watch them overshift. Look at the bottom. How are you going to defend it there? And Joe Kelly says, we can't. We'll take a timeout. They only have 1 left.
Second and goal inside the 2. Elway off his back foot goes. Juggling touchdown catch by Johnson.
What a great pass by Elway.
And you're going to have a taunting penalty. You're going to have a taunting penalty, I'm sure, at the end of that thing. Reggie Johnson spiked the ball right in the face of Eddie Anderson, and there's a flag in the corner of the end zone.
And it won't negate the touchdown and the Bronco lead.
You can spike it, but you can't spike it in the face of the other guy.
After the score, we have an unsportsmanlike on number 89 of the offense. It'll be assessed on the kickoff. The touchdown count.
Take a look at this. After the completion of Johnson, he's going to take the ball.
Oh, what a pass.
And beautiful pass is right. And he's upset about getting hit late by Anderson, and he throws the ball right in his face. And, you know, I know you're at home saying, well, that sure doesn't look like much, but the players know it. It's been explained to them. That's a case where maybe a 5-yard penalty was worth the shot you got to take on the guy across from you.
Well, what a great play by Elway again. They took away his rollout, the rollout designed to pressure the defensive back covering Johnson, and he was able to, with an incredible touch, get it to him. That was good coverage by Eddie Anderson. He was right where he should have been defensively.
Well, I think Johnson was feeling that Anderson hit him a little bit late in the end zone after he'd already
False
caught it.
start on the center. He's moving the ball 5 yards with it.
Well, that's Jeff Robinson again.
It's a big extra point, too.
Number 94. The problem with an extra point or a field goal attempt like that, if you move the ball a little bit like that, you and your teammates pay a stiff price because you end up getting steamrolled.
Here's Elam's extra point. And the Denver Broncos, for the first time in the game on Reggie Johnson's first touchdown of the season, take the lead. The Broncos up by 4. Broncos will kick it off from the 20-yard line. Reggie Johnson scoring the touchdown and then getting the penalty, and the Raiders will have a chance to perhaps get the ball at midfield or beyond with Wright and Ismail back to receive.
And it's one of those penalties that's totally a subjective call by the official, whether or not he felt it was taunting. Reggie Johnson, by his expression, certainly doesn't think it was. And how do you know for sure?
Kickoff, which would have gone to the goal line, goes to the 15. And Ismail can only run it back to the 30 before the rocket is diffused by Darrell Hall. Another look at the
The flag comes flying in from out of our frame of reference. And out of Reggie Johnson's, too, I think.
first down from the 31-yard line. And there's no play. There's no play. The flag's down, and the play was whistled dead. Gerald Perry and Willie Oshenden got together. And it figures to be a false start on Perry.
Before the snap was ever made, we have a false start on number 71 of the offense. 5 yards and it's still first down.
I think that was more of a false lean. He was just slowly and gradually. It was like he was melting, just falling backward. Gerald Perry, who played a lot of his career, he's at the right side of our screen, and watch him just start to roll back. Steve Wisniewski, the left guard, false started as well.
Wisniewski was before Perry.
That's where the crowd noise is going to start to come to play here. It's a factor. Listen to this place go.
First and 15. Hostetler throws. That's James Jett. And James Jett will not be caught because he gets a block, scores the touchdown, and there is no more appropriately named man in football than James Jett, an Olympic gold medal winner in the 4x100-meter relay.
And Atwater, well, he made a token pursuit, but he knew it was over as Hostetler, with good protection, fired a perfect shot to the youngster from West Virginia, who was a key player in last week's comeback against the Jets. Good pass.
That's the middle of the zone. The short guys couldn't catch him, and the deep guys were off to the sides, and that was the perfect call, run against the perfect defense to have that play run against. It just worked out great for the Raiders.
Raiders believe in speed.
Yep.
Jaeger for the point after. One Mountaineer to another. Hostetler, who started his college career at Penn State, then went to West Virginia, to the undrafted James Jett.
What they also like about Jett is the fact that he has picked up, is so knowledgeable about where he goes. I mean, he reads the zone, brings it across the middle, and then it just kicks in the afterburner. He's gone.
And we saw Dave Wyman, number 57, who had the short coverage underneath, vainly try to knock the ball away. There's no way that Wyman, a linebacker right here, can be expected to run with a James Jett for any period of time or distance.
Well, he was in the underneath coverage, but it was a good move by Jett, timed out beautifully by Hostetler.
Well, this is certainly the fourth quarter here, certainly making up for the first quarter, which was very much all over the place with penalties and interceptions and not much in the way of continuity. And this has been as good a quarter so far as you could ever hope for.
Good way to quiet the crowd down, too.
Hostetler, big night, 242. James Jett, who scored a 42-yard touchdown last week on a reception from Vince Evans, has given the Raiders the lead again, 20-17. Elway will have to perform magic again.
What do you do with a football team that's got a rocket, a jet, and think about it, a guy named Wright?
The right stuff?
No. The Wright brothers?
Wright brothers, yeah.
His name's not spelled R-I-G-H.
This is Derek Russell at the 7.
Right.
Up to the 17-yard line. You know, it's a funny thing with all of those guys. They still have Willie Gault, who made the Olympic team in 1980. Gault, I guess, is their possession receiver these days.
He was a great hurdler.
Yeah. Elway, a lot better in the second half than the first, but he's got to lead them from behind again now. 20-17, Raiders, 10-16 to go in the fourth.
A briefly held lead by the Broncos. Their celebration did not last long.
First and 10 at the 18. Bernstein up to about the 21-yard line. Next week, it's always a treat to pay our annual visit.
One of the keys here is how this Raider front four is going to react here late in the game. We've been able to pressure our way throughout the game, but fatigue has to start settling in.
And he might have tripped on his center's foot, but he gets up and still gets sacked anyway. Greg Townsend will get credit for that one with a little assist from probably Dave Weidel, I'm going to assume.
Well, there's where Elway's second effort ended up costing them about another 10 yards. John goes down and tries to make something happen, gets up, and in reality ends up losing a whole lot more yardage. There he is right there. Number 75 slides over from the side, Brian Habib, and he sends Elway down, and John gets back there but really doesn't have the opportunity to do anything.
Third and 18 now out of the shotgun. By Hoskins, and then gets tackled from behind at the Denver 45 by McDaniel.
And Lionel Washington just let Russell run right by him. He must have anticipated help from Eddie Anderson, the free safety. He didn't get it. Very similar to play the Raiders Denver gave up to Alexander Wright earlier. Look at this.
He tried to tackle him and missed.
punch, and Denver gets out of trouble.
At the 46, 8:20 to go. Bernstein gets it. Bernstein swings to the outside. Gets by Hoskins. Anderson bangs him out of bounds, but not before. He has a first down at the 33.
He's like taking on a 21-wheeler.
Yeah, it's not the first time tonight that we've seen 33 meet 33. Eddie Anderson and Rod Bernstein have had several good collisions tonight. And Rod Bernstein continues to demonstrate that he's a 240-pound load.
Watch him dip this shoulder and meet Anderson with his shoulder, lowering the left shoulder and looking to hit Anderson.
And that's 107 yards tonight for Bernstein. The first 100-yard game by a Bronco since 1991. Bernstein again. He's running tonight the way they hoped he was going to run when they gave him a big contract, signed him as an unrestricted free agent from San Diego. And the last time a Bronco went over 100 yards, it was Gaston Green in November of '91 against Kansas City.
But think back over the last decade or so, and the Bronco running backs that have gone over 100 yards, they have done it with speed and shiftiness, not big backs. Bernstein is the first big punishing back that's been here in Denver territory for a long time.
He goes out, Delpino comes in. 2nd and 9, it's deflected and incomplete. Joe Kelly got a hand on it. 3rd down.
And it's a good thing Kelly was there, because it would have been Vance Johnson's first reception. A little crossing pattern between Sharp and Johnson was wide open.
If I were the Raiders, I'd be leery of this particular play right here, because there's 7:11 on the clock. The kind of numbers that a guy like John Elway would like.
Yeah.
7-11.
3rd and 8.
With 7 throwing the ball.
Elway on the reverse throw. Throws and gets it in there at the 20-yard line to Derek Russell.
Oh, did he smoke that in? Elway pulled up. That was like a bazooka shot. And it had to be. There was good coverage on Russell. Russell, number 85, driving downfield, driving Washington back, comes back and gives a good angle to Elway, but Elway fired that in there, or rather Terry McDaniel on the coverage. Elway fired it in where it could not be defended. Had it low and it was smoking.
1st and 10 at the 20-yard line, 6.5 minutes to go. Robert Delpino, the ex-Ram, gets 1 to the 19-yard line. He's tackled by Hoskins and Kelly.
This is when you start sucking a little air if you're in that defensive unit. You've been out there a long time. Thin air, you're late in the game.
You're getting as much air as you want. It's just that air doesn't have as much oxygen in it as you would like.
And you can see it, the pained look on those faces.
At least it's cool. It's football weather when you can see the breath on the players when they're down in their stances. Look at that. That's a good sight.
2nd and 10. Raiders lead by 3. Less than 6 minutes to go. Elway nearly gets sacked, nearly has it picked off. Anthony Smith was wrapping him up, and it was almost intercepted by Aaron Wallace.
And the new rule this year saves Elway from being penalized for throwing that one away.
Throw
that ball towards the line of scrimmage.
Well, this is a great rivalry through the years. As you look at it again,
although there's
not getting it away.
Yeah, there's a real question as to whether John was out of the pocket. He was still, I think, within the realm of the pocket.
Shell animated again as much as we've ever seen.
Timeout Denver, their first.
And
it
Denver
will be a
has to take
40-second timeout.
I think Mr. Shell might be trying to get that point across.
Timeout for the Broncos. They spent their first. The Raiders have already used 2. We talked about the rivalry. It speaks for itself. You mentioned Raiders, Broncos, and you think of some great games in the past. You go back over the last 19 games, roughly 10 years of matchups between these teams, and 15 of those 19 games have been decided by 6 points or less, and 5 of them have gone into overtime, and we've got the same sort of game tonight. 3rd and 10 from the 20. Elway under heat again. Escapes Townsend, throws, and no! Out of bounds with Russell. He was out of bounds. The back judge right there to make the call.
Oh, and it might have been an easy catch, but Russell slipped, lost his balance, and had to make a diving effort.
He slipped back about the, what, the 5 or 6 yard line?
The 5-yard
Frank?
line.
Yeah.
He took a little stutter step, and Elway had it right on target. Then he had to make a dying effort. Terry McDaniel on the coverage. Watch, he slipped right about there. Oh. I don't think he ever controlled it.
Good call. Tom Millis is the back judge. He made the call, but now Elam to attempt the field goal, 38 yards to try to tie the game, and he does.
I'm not sure everybody in Denver thought that was a great call. Let's put it, if that would have been ruled a touchdown, I'm not sure we saw enough to argue against it. There was, that was one of those plays that you could feel pretty good about arguing either way. Let's look at it again.
What a great effort. Going down.
He's got the ball. The ball's never juggled.
I don't think they ruled that he did not have possession until after he had hit out of bounds.
Again, let's see if we can get another look at
no touchdown. As the back judge called it, Tom Millis involved in the decision. But they get to 3.
Just put my hand in my pocket. Found the hotel key for my room in Buffalo last week.
Well, keep it. We'll be back there in 2 weeks.
That's the one with the view.
Well, I hope they clean it. I hope they don't. I hope they don't think I'm still in there.
Did you put the do not disturb sign out?
Hey, I should wear this coat more often.
Elam's kick fielded by Wright at the 7-yard line. And he comes back out to the 26-yard line. He's tackled there by Lilo Lang. 5:24 remaining in regulation.
I'm going through all my pockets now.
Yeah.
I might find a paycheck or something in it.
From the Cardinals.
You know, even when this game is 13-0, because it wasn't half, you just knew something was going to happen, or you certainly did expect it. If you followed this series over the years, I was talking about it a moment ago, it always seemed to come right down to the final minutes of play, the final seconds of play.
Raiders at the 26-yard line. First and 10.
Broncos gave up a big play before. Let's see if they soften up in the secondary and start giving these guys a lot of room.
Here is Nick Bell on a very slow developing handoff.
Bell just doesn't look to be all the way back.
Certainly was not a slashing effort.
No, you got to say that you got to give him credit for trying to play, but he just doesn't look to me like the type of pounding, slashing, running you like to see in the NFL. He's trying. I'm not knocking his effort because he's obviously hurt.
Second and 7 at the 29-yard line. Elway getting counseled on the Broncos sideline. 4:45 to go in regulation. Hostetler on second and 7. Fletcher chases him. He dumps it off to McCallum. And Napoleon McCallum, handling the ball for the first time in the game, is tackled at the 32, where it'll be 3rd down and 4 or 5 yards to go. Big play for him.
Hostetler upset with one of his receivers.
Might have been a little upset at getting manhandled by Simon Fletcher, number 73. Look at him fight off the double team, get upfield, and he gets Jeff and tries to drag him. Oh, that's what he's upset about. Yeah, Simon tossed a little extra Hostetler's way.
3rd and 5, 4 minutes to play. The game is tied at 20. And Haas launch to Horton, but he can't make the catch because Frank Robinson breaks it up.
Horton wants an interference call. He's not going to get it. Hostetler put it in there perfect for him.
I don't think Robinson hit him until the ball hit his hands. At least that was my initial impression in seeing the play.
I don't think he did either. And a well-thrown ball that was just bobbled.
When does the ball hit Horton's hands?
Oh, come on.
Looked like pretty good timing that time by Frank Robinson.
Legitimate. Josh at the kick. Milburn to receive it. A 46-yard kick. And Milburn is forced out of bounds up at the 32-yard line by Dan Land. 3:36.
It's Elway time.
You knew it would come to this.
He loves this too. We had him in the opening if you're with us. He does thrive on it. You get a little nerve jangling after year, and John now in his 11th year.
I don't think it jangles his nerves
It
as
jangles
much as it
ours.
does everybody else.
Well, he did it last year to the Raiders on opening night. And it started a Raider tailspin. Bernstein dropped behind the line of scrimmage on opening night last year. He led them to a win. The Raiders opened the year with 4 consecutive losses and finished 7-9 and really never recovered. Second half possessions for the Broncos.
Certainly a tale of two halves for the Broncos. Not a punt on any of their possessions here in the second half. Totally opposite of what they displayed in the first half. And you know what? Bernstein almost lost the ball in that last play. A mistake right here loses you the ball game.
Second and 12 from the 28-yard line. Chased by Long. Elway throws incomplete. Good coverage. Shannon Sharp, the intended receiver. Anderson covering, 3rd and long.
You think this guy's in good shape? Well, you look at Howie Long. He doesn't even give the impression of breathing deeply. This is one of the finely conditioned athletes to ever play this game. He just chased John Elway all the way across the field after playing 57 minutes of football. And look at the speed by Howie Long. And this guy is not even sucking deep breaths after.
We'll be able to tell right here. Passing situation, 3rd and 11.
Elway on 3rd and 12.
Get him out of there again.
And the catch is made at the 29-yard line by Cedric Tillman. That's his first catch, but well short of the first down. And the Raiders are going to get it back.
That time Greg Townsend on the pressure for Elway, chasing him out of the pocket once again.
It's been a while since we have done a Denver game where he's as harassed as much as he's been harassed tonight. John has been all over the field. And
they played him well, too, Dan. They have not let him come upfield with the ball. That's what they set out to do.
Tom Ruin.
Oh, no, it's tremendous defensive work by Los Angeles.
Tom Ruin punting to Tim Brown. 42-yard kick. And Brown brings it back to the 39-yard line.
Advantage Raiders now with 2 minutes and 37 seconds left, and good field position up at about the 39-yard line. And the winner of this game gets to stay nestled in right behind the Kansas City Chiefs, while the loser goes to 3-3 and 2 full games out. And tied with Seattle, which I think one of the surprises of the year, being there at 3-3.
As we pointed out earlier, both teams, the Broncos and the Raiders, have already lost one game to Kansas City.
Conversely, San Diego, one of the surprises of the year there as well.
First down at the 34 as Haas throws. McCallum was the intended receiver, and it was overthrown, and then Jett was behind him with 2:31. Now the Raiders had to spend those 2 timeouts defensively on that one series in the third quarter. Thus, they have just 1 remaining and the 2-minute warning. Second and 10, game tied 20-20. Bell. That's to the 43. Shane Dronette makes the tackle. And it will be 3rd down.
Will the Raiders try to hurry up and run a play here before the end of the half?
3rd and 6.
Before the 2-minute warning.
They're not going to. Hostility is going to go to the sideline, so they'll let it tick it off.
Boy, with only 1 timeout remaining, I think I might have tried to get a play in here before the 2-minute warning.
Big play, 3rd and 6. You need it.
Yeah. What the Raiders need to do is convert this 3rd down, or Elway gets another whack at it.
3rd and 6. At the 43.
I think they're in a 4th down mode, though. They probably would go on 4th down, close to midfield.
Hostetler. Fires, and Tim Brown makes the catch. First down at the 38 of the Broncos.
Broncos relying on coverage. They came at 3 men. They're down front 3 men. Tried to.
Well, that's a good play, Frank and Al, by the Raiders, because that's basically the same pattern that James Jett caught for the long touchdown. It's a crossing pattern from left to right, right in the middle of that zone. You're right. And if you do it once for a touchdown, why wait so long to come back to a good call by Los Angeles?
Very close to field goal range. 1:20 to go. Hostetler, they give it to Bell. That's pretty much the same play they scored the touchdown on last week to win the game. And here it nets them next to nothing. So there is Jaeger. If they don't gain another yard, he's 54 to 55 yards away.
They were on the 1 yard line.
His career best.
Right. Big difference.
His career best 54 yards. This year he's hit one from 53.
And he's in the thin air. They have 1 timeout left. 2nd down and 9. Play clock is down to 10. Hostetler changing. Talks to Mosbar. There's your play clock. Game clock's at 40. And he takes off and he gets to the 35 with Carl Mecklenburg making the tackle. So now you're looking at a 53, 52-yard field goal. And the Raiders now take their last timeout. So you have a 3rd down and 7. Another play here. And then they can't stop the clock if they keep it in bounds, but they'll still have time to get Jaeger set up.
Yeah, they know they have time, that if they get the 1st down, that they'll be able to run up, get an offensive formation with 24 seconds left and have Hostetler throw the ball into the ground.
If you didn't see the follow-up last week on that Raider win against the Jets, they screwed the clock up at the end of the game at the Coliseum, so much so that everybody was confused, to the point that Art Shell was trying to get Vince Evans to call timeout to spike the ball and set up what would have been a game-tying field goal. Instead, in all of the confusion, they ran the play and scored the touchdown on the Bell run. But Art admitted, he said, hey, I thought they put 7 more seconds back on the clock, not put it down to 7.
I think right at this point, you've got to go back to what's been successful with you all night long. The Broncos have not been coming with the blitz. They've been sitting back in their zone. You send your receiver down in a crossing pattern. Shorten the yardage for Jaeger.
They're looking at 52 yards right from here. If they don't gain another yard, they're looking at 52. Jaeger has the 54-yarder to his credit. And we are in Denver, so here they come again.
And Brown fell down. Tim Brown slipped down.
Oh, my Lord, did you see the 2 safeties come again?
Well, they were like rockets. Dennis Smith and Steve Atwater trying to time it out. They hit it just about perfectly. Hostetler was lucky he was able to get rid of it.
I'm sorry, that's the best looking defensive stuff when those 2 guys come flying. Watch to the left side. They try to time it. Here comes Atwater. Here comes Smith. And watch Smith go.
53 yards for Jaeger. Johnson puts it down. The kick is low and long enough.
That's the ugliest game-winning field goal from that distance ever, but the Raiders don't care.
How did it not get blocked?
I have never seen a kick that long, kick that low.
It almost looked like it was spiraling.
Al, Dan said it better. That was really ugly.
It was really ugly, and nobody in Los Angeles for the Raiders cares. Unbelievable.
Jeff Jaeger.
He had a 53-yarder earlier this year. But the 16 seconds on the clock. What pressure. Watch this now. Nobody jumped up at the line of scrimmage. We might have had a block.
That ball is spiraling. That thing looked like somebody threw a pass. Normally kicks go end over end.
Yep. You know, when you sit in a stadium and a guy kicks
that thing's really going end over end too, but it's kind of got a sideways spin to it. That's a odd-looking ball.
But when you sit in a stadium, if you're a fan or if you broadcast the games and you watch it live, you'll get an idea in the first 5 or 6 yards if it's got the distance.
Yeah.
That one looked like it had no chance. It was kicked that low.
It looked dead.
And it just kept on going.
Well, we're in Denver.
Yeah.
And we have talked all night about the thin air. And I think it's safe to say that that kick in Los Angeles would not have made it.
Quick look at Al Davis.
That's a sea level there. That's a sea level field at the Coliseum. A big win for the Raiders. They dominated the first half. Not that the game is over, but it's pretty close to being over. 16 seconds.
That's going to hold the audience.
We'll really see what kind of a comeback Elway can put together.
Jaeger.
It's a good play there, too, not kicking at the end zone.
Here's Derek Russell. Takes it from the 9 back up to the 17, 13 seconds remaining. McCallum makes the tackle. And so, well, Dan touched upon it at the top of the show with the Broncos losing only 3 of their last 22 at home. 2 of those to the Raiders. You can make it 4 out of 23 and 3 of them. And there it is. You go back to 1970. The Raiders have won, well, this will be 15 tonight.
They'll go to 30, 10, and 1 on Monday Night Football.
And the rest of the league just gets killed when they come in here. And Elway, they're going to end the game on a sack, or come close to ending the game, by Nolan Harrison. Another sack. That's 7 tonight.
Nolan beseeching the crowd for some applause, forgetting that he's in Denver and not in the Coliseum.
7 sacks. Elway was once sacked 7 times in 1989 by Philadelphia.
Well, you really have to credit that defense.
Oh.
Now, the numbers are stay at all, but they don't say that this defensive line has been in Elway's face all night long.
Powerful performance, Frank. You're right. Powerful performance by the Raider front four.
Townsend and certainly Anthony Smith, Nolan Harrison, Aaron Wallace.
Each team with a week off next week. Raiders resume play against San Diego in what is now a critical game for the Chargers in LA on Halloween Sunday. And Denver plays Seattle here.
More than just the pressure they put on Elway tonight, they contained him. Every time he would leak out to the outside, try to spin away, he never really made a long run from scrimmage. I think it was about 7 yards, might have been his longest.
2nd and 90. Flea flicker. Ooh, well, Tillman made the catch. Milburn took the lateral. Not a flea flicker, but the old hook and lateral.
Getting into the old rugby scheme of things. Yep.
Wade Phillips, well, he said last night, I've had a nice little honeymoon here, but we don't win tomorrow night.
She may pout a little tomorrow morning.
Final play of the game, barring a defensive penalty.
John knows he's got to throw it.
And that's broken up. Sharp was the intended receiver, and the Raiders will have a very happy 2-hour flight back to LAX. As they come in, they squander a 13-point lead, then come from behind, and Jaeger ends it with a field goal from long range, and Art Shell's team is now 4-2, a 53-yarder for Jeff Jaeger. And that's the way it ends in Denver, Colorado.
And I think the Raiders make a statement tonight that they are one of the very best teams in the AFC. And this is a team as capable as anyone else in the AFC of going to a Super Bowl. They are a good ball club.
And they played it with, by and large, a crippled quarterback.
Yep.
Give Jeff Hostetler a lot of credit. He stayed in there. One of the big things he does is run out of that pocket. He couldn't do that tonight, and yet he was still effective.
Final score is the Raiders 23, the Broncos 20.